We're talking about The Mandalorian, right?
Yep, Mandalorian, season 1, episode 5.
Sorry, my brain farted, and I started to panic. I was like, "Wait, what are we talking about today?"
Honestly, I missed my shot. I could have just come up with anything. I could have just been like, "What's your favorite Looney Tune and why?" And you'd have to tell me.
The big red one. I don't remember its name, but in like the new cartoon, you find out it's actually a child, and people bully him, and I feel really bad for him.
The big red one.
Yeah, big,
What?
like really furry. Let me see if I can find his name.
Let me Google this, man.
Gossamer.
Yeah, the heart-shaped guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's your favorite one?
I just think it's so sweet in the new cartoon. He's just this little kid that's bigger than everyone.
It's like Wrecker or something. It's sweet.
Yeah, exactly.
Big dumb characters. We like big dumb characters here on this show.
Exactly. What about you? What's your favorite Looney Tune?
That's a tough one. I've always been a Bugs fan, personally. But
I mean, a classic.
Daffy Duck probably is my favorite. Because of his lisp, he really I just really like him. I think he's hilarious. Like in Space Jam, whenever he goes, "I have found the thwarts." Like, that just really cracks me up every time.
Yeah. Okay, this might be a little controversial, but Daffy Duck over Donald Duck.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Daffy's better.
I like Donald, but Daffy just does it better.
All wings report in.
HouseDog, standing by.
Mother Goose, standing by.
Lowtech Tuck, standing by.
Lock S foils in attack position. Animal Squadron ready for battle.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Animal Squadron podcast. This is your hairiest host, Mother Goose.
And your boy, Lowtech Tuck.
It's our boy. Listen, I know we've said it so many times, but I genuinely am just so happy we got you on the podcast.
Dude, I'm happy too. This has been like one of my favorite hobbies that I've gotten into lately. Like, this has just been, it's a good time. It's always a good time.
Hell yeah, now you're stuck with us.
I hope. One can only hope.
For sure. Today we are talking about The Mandalorian Chapter 5, titled The Gunslinger.
Yep.
I really like this episode, just as like a small, short general thoughts. This was a good episode.
A good batch.
Hell yeah, good batch.
It's a good batch.
So getting into it, I really liked the just classic Star Wars open of him in a starship fight.
Oh yeah, with him killing that bounty hunter and whatnot.
Yeah. I really liked his tactic of, the bounty hunters behind him, and we've seen this in a bunch of space fights. But he hits his brake, so he gets behind him and then blows up the bounty hunter.
Oh yeah, well, and like, anytime Star Wars decides to do like tricky aerial combat scenes, like I'm here for it every time.
Right?
I'm here for it.
It always looks so good.
Especially like when they do loop-de-loops and like stop on the brakes and get behind the guy or what. I mean, that's just awesome.
It's just good Star Wars.
Yep. It's like Top Gun in space. It's cool.
So I will say, and I've never noticed this before, but the bounty hunter has like a mask on, one you need to breathe. Mm-hmm. Reminded me a lot of like just fighter pilot masks now.
Yeah.
Or maybe like older ones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's so it's on his face the whole time until the like really quick shot where he gets blown up. It cuts back to him and he's screaming for like a split second, and his mask is off his face.
He just took it off just to yell. That's like some
exactly.
It's like some Vader level being dramatic. Like
right.
Yeah, which actually, have you ever seen those memes where it's like talking about how dramatic Vader is?
Some of them,
He's like in Rebels, for instance, whenever he fights Ahsoka, it's like he comes down there on a TIE fighter that he's flying with the Force, and then also he's using the Force to make his cape billow because there's no wind in that like enclosed space.
Yeah,
and I'm here for it. Dramatic Vader.
Yeah, for real. It's so cool, but also very dramatic. This man knows how to make an entrance.
Oh yeah, yep. I respect it. And this guy, he knows how to die. And it looked
for
cool.
Real.
Yep.
It did. Well, do you have anything else on their little not that it's little, but their space fight before we get moving on?
Oh, not really.
I liked his ship.
Yeah. Yeah, I liked the ship.
I don't know if I recognized it. It was a good ship.
It's a good ship. It was a good batch of ships.
A good batch of ships. And then we get to go to our classic Tatooine.
Yep, and that's where we find the mechanic lady.
Who's really important, and we should definitely know her name.
Starts with a P. Oh, Pelimoto.
Pelimoto, yes. So I wanted to talk to you. I think Mac and I might have talked about this in earlier episodes, but saying this is the first time in Mandalorian we get to see Tatooine. A lot of Star Wars fans are upset at how much Star Wars uses Tatooine. How do you feel about it?
I mean, I can understand their reasoning for it because it's where the Skywalkers come from. You know, Anakin and Luke, and then also, I guess, as far as talking about that bloodline, like Shmi too.
Right.
And so it is where our story takes place. Like, it is the main planet as far as Star Wars goes. But yeah, I mean, I'm a little tired of it. Like, I wish we did more with more obscure planets.
Other planets. Yeah.
And maybe even make up more planets. Like, I think that'd be fun.
Yeah.
But,
and I really want to see them explore the like color spectrum more.
Yeah. Yeah, like not everything has to be a tan desert planet.
Yeah, like I was watching something and I can't remember what it was, but they were on an alien planet and like all the leaves were this like really pretty like dark purple, and I was like, I want to see more of this in Star Wars, you know, explore these alien planets, you know, and you know, there's so many great colors out there.
Oh yeah, well, and also on that note too, what I'd love to see is you know how Jedi Survivor we get different biomes of Kobo and stuff like that. Like I think it'd be cool to like say shoot maybe a whole Mandalorian episode on one planet, because like I know like Star Wars most of the time it's like we're doing this on this planet, boom, light speed, we're going to another planet now, and then we're going to another planet. Like I think it'd be cool to just have more of we're on the same planet but different biomes. Like I think that'd be fun.
Yeah, I agree. Well, so I really think that so in the Marvel Cinematic, not the Marvel Cinematic Universe, in the Marvel comics, and I think I brought this up before as well, there's something about Earth that like there's some magical thing that makes it really important to the universe, and that explains why. Yeah, there's other stuff that happens in space, but most of the important events in the like Marvel universe happen on Earth, and there's like some magical reason. And I kind of think it's similar with Tatooine. The Force has some weird connection to Tatooine.
Yeah, I think that's a good theory. I mean, like if you think about it, you know, with the Sand People and the Jawas, and like also how like Tatooine used to be a forest planet, and then just like they had bombed themselves into the Stone Age, and then like people moved and stuff. You know, I mean, like maybe that created some sort of force wound, or maybe. I mean, like kind of like the same thing as like the Dagobah cave,
right?
Where, like there's a force wound there, and so the force lives there. I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, not that we have to dwell on it long. I just, you know, us going into Tatooine, we had to talk about it a little bit, especially saying it's becomes important to the series as a whole. Like, it's not the only time we go to Tatooine.
Well, yeah, it's where our girl Pelly lives, who's the best mechanic this side of the Rishi maze. You know what I mean?
I do. Yes, I do. So I think for this scene, the only thing I have written down is, I've got 2 notes. Droid racism and he's poor again. So, obviously Din has a problem with droids. Not only do Mandalorians overall, they're not the biggest fan of droids, but Din specifically has drama related to them.
And it's understandable why he doesn't like them.
They killed his parents and almost killed him too.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be a big fan of battle droids or droids in general either.
Yeah. But also I think it's really good storytelling that like his hatred of droids, like it's not just something casual, like it's now getting in the way of his ship getting fixed. Like logically, if they could get the job done quicker, why not use them? But his hatred of them is so intense.
Yeah. Yeah, but also too it sets up later how he kind of goes away from that. Like in further seasons, like how he even befriends a droid.
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
Yeah. It's really good character development.
Yeah, it is. Excellent.
And then I only bring this up because we literally talked about it last episode. We see him give away all his money.
Yeah, this guy, he really needs to take a class of some kind.
Right.
Some sort of financial peace kind of class. Dave Ramsey, if you hear this podcast, go talk to the Mandalorian. He needs you.
All I'm imagining is there's just like one Mandalorian like in the upper government that's like, come on guys, we really need to teach our people financing, and everyone else is like laughing at him and calling him dumb, and they're like, that will take away from the blaster classes.
So it's that meme where like the guy suggests like a good idea and then they throw him out the window.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, my friend, do you have anything here in the workshop?
I mean, I really like Pelly and the little droids. Those little I forget what they're called, but like the little mechanic droids with the nose that you can just bop their nose and they just shut off.
Turn off. Yeah.
I just like them, like how they talk to like the. I think that's funny. I like it.
Yeah. And it's really nice getting to see them again because I don't think we've seen them in a while.
Not since episode 1 in live action, anyway.
Yeah.
As far as I know. And then also I like too how they're mechanic droids and like they're supposed to be somewhat graceful and like good with their hands, but they're also just clumsy little idiots. Which I like too. They're always tripping over each other and like just not you're just being dumb. I love it.
Yes, I do too. Yeah, so I looked it up. They're just called repair droids or maintenance droids. Yeah, let's see. Models of repair droids include the WED Treadwell repair droid, the MSE6 series, and the DUM series pit droid. That's the word I was looking for. Pit droid.
Oh yeah, like in pit, like race.
Yeah, because they helped out with the pod racing.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, and also I really hope the company that made them is called Treadwell, like for all of them, because that would be so much funnier as far as them being clumsy and silly.
Right?
Yeah, being called Treadwell would be just some solid poetic justice.
I agree. Took me a second before it clicked, but yes. Okay, I'm trying to think. So there he goes. From there he goes to see if he can find some work, where he runs into a fresh bounty hunter whose name I do not remember. And same thing as last week. And I wanted to point out, last week I made a comment about how I watched this episode literally right before we started recording, and as I was listening to it, it came across as I was saying, no, Tucker, I'm right. I just watched this episode. No, what I actually meant was I just watched this episode and I have no idea what we're talking about. Like, I just watched it and have no clue.
Well, the guy that you're asking about is Toro Calican.
Toro Calican, nice.
Yep, and he's a young bounty hunter, fresh on the scene, fresh out of bounty hunter college, ready to go.
Ready to make his name.
Yep, that's right.
I liked Toro. He was an interesting one-off character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he kind of gave me like, just young, like, I guess not quite how his life turned out, but like a young Han Solo, just trying to make a way for himself.
Yeah, it's like a Han Solo that things like bad things happen to Han, but really, overall, things really worked out for him, but did not quite work out for Toro.
Yeah, it's Han if things went really bad.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I like that. That's a really good analogy.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
No, I really like that he was just like, hey, I recognize that you're experienced. I will give you all the money. I just want the credit.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, because he thinks that it'll lead to more money, but what he doesn't know is who Fennec Shand is.
Right. So we've had several things with Fennec in it now, but has she been in any Star Wars projects prior to this?
No, because Bad Batch hadn't come out yet. At least I don't think so. They were really close. Yeah. But I don't remember which one came out first, but it was like, Fennec Shand stuff was just boom, boom, like really quick. We got a bunch of her.
Yeah.
Really quick.
I really like how Star Wars handled Fennec because, like, she is a very new character, but because of that, like, boom, 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 throwing her in multiple projects, it has made her feel like a really, like, iconic Star Wars character. The first time I watched it, obviously I didn't know who she was, but watching back through it on this watch through, it was really exciting to get to see her again.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you have anything else before they go on their hunt and we get to see a little more of Peli?
I guess one thing that I just thought about was, one thing I find kind of interesting in Star Wars is how all the female bounty hunters have the same armor.
Yeah, it is very similar, isn't it?
Yeah, like with the almost like medieval knight's helmet kind of helmet. And they're all snipers every time that we see one. Including the Changeling and Attack of the Clones, like they're always snipers, and then they always have like kind of a goldish color to their armor, and so I wonder if it's just like there's just a Lululemon of armor that all the lady bounty hunters go to. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, so I wanted to talk about Peli a little bit. Yeah. I've got two things here on the scene where she finds Grogu. One, she talks about getting Grogu some food, and she says specifically something with bones in it. Just to go off what you said last time about it being some like bone soup in the last episode.
Mm-hmm. And how that's quite possibly a swamp planet, because like swamps are where things decompose really well in swamps, which is actually like why, anywhere that there's like that people are mining for coal, those are almost always prehistoric swamps, because it's how we get coal. And things break down really, really good. And so I think like, bones, amphibians, like again, it points to that they're from a swamp planet.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep.
And then the last thing I had here was her gun was really cool. It reminded me of like an old musket.
Yeah. Well, actually, like, it's been a couple weeks since I watched it, so I'm actually gonna have to check that out.
Maybe not so much an old musket, but it reminds me of like a cartoon musket where the front of the barrel is like really over exaggerated.
Oh, like a blunderbuss.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, right. No, I'm sorry. There we go. Yeah. No, I think actually, and with Star Wars, it probably is a real gun that they just made look like something else. But actually, yeah, that's definitely a blunderbuss. And I'm watching a GIF right now of her shooting. And that might be a matchlock, too, which, like, for those who don't know, a matchlock is like technology from the 1500s or so. And so I wonder if if they just took an old matchlock and just made it look spacey. It's kind of what it looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then a blunderbuss too, like that was just designed to be basically like a shotgun. Like you just load stuff in there and it shoots and it spreads out. Was the idea.
No, that's not it. Sorry, I looked up what is Pelimoto's weapon. You want to take a guess at what it listed it as?
What it listed as?
The dark saber.
Oh my gosh. No.
Well, Google confirmed it. Pelimoto is the Mandalore.
Yo, man. What I googled was Pelimoto gun, and that's how I found the gif of her shooting.
Nice.
She's like pop pop pop.
It is a really cool looking weapon, and I really like having someone on here that like knows guns.
What?
I really like having someone here on the podcast that knows guns.
Oh yeah. That's a good time. Yeah.
You know, I shoot regularly. I have a couple guns myself, but I'm not like deep into it like you are. You know, so I really like having your expertise and opinions on stuff.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, I guess whether this stays in here or not, like I enjoy the history of it. I'm a big history guy, and that's really what got me into the historic side of weapons and whatnot. And so I love being able to. That's really fun for me to just get to jabber on about stuff like that. It's like, oh, that's a blunderbuss. Wait, that's a matchlock. Wow.
Yeah.
But also too, like I really love how this podcast, like all of our skills came together. I think that's neat. Like for me, I can kind of point out like technical and historical stuff, and then like you've got all the media stuff. Like, I mean, we couldn't do it without you. I mean, there's no way that I could edit anything. I mean, without it being really bad. Really bad.
Well,
we'd probably get famous for being horrible if I did.
Well, thank you, my friend. And you know, a lot of it is experience. You know, go back to listen to our episodes now, and then go back and listen to our very first episode, and there's a pretty big difference in quality.
Yeah. Well, I mean, experience plays a part in anything, I think. I mean, like, I've been, around guns my whole life, so this just comes from, like, 25 years of experience that I've gotten this far. And then, you know, you've been around it a long time, too, as far as, like, the computer stuff and the media stuff.
Oh,
so,
yeah, for
I mean,
sure.
it's just, expertise does not come to people who aren't patient. And willing to work at it, yeah.
I'm sure they say it in your field too, but something we say in the media field is you got to put in your 10,000 hours.
Yep, yeah. For us, it's like, I mean, that's been basically said to me before. It's just like, well, I mean, you're just a young guy, like you don't know yet.
Yeah,
and I think that's basically the same thing, same energy anyway.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, well, getting back to this episode, so we've got a couple scenes here in Pelly's workshop. One where she first finds Grogu, and then when Mando comes back right before he leaves. What do you have, my friend?
Whenever she finds Grogu, what makes her go in the ship again? Do you remember?
Oh, yes. So she doesn't actually go in the ship. Grogu comes out, and he's making some, like, weird noises, and it scares her. So she tells one of the pit droids, go get my gun, and so he brings her the gun, and she's pointing it at the ship, and little Grogu walks out.
Oh, yeah, and he's in his little robe. He's just tottering.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really sweet. I like Pelly and Grogu's relationship. Like, that's just, I love that. I think it's very sweet. Like, she'll pick him up and, like, it's almost like a grandma kind of kind of thing, and I like that. I like it a lot.
Me too.
Yeah, I mean, really, I don't feel like there's a whole lot more to say about this. I guess we'll move on to hunting down Finnick.
Well, so before we go, I just have one last thing is when the Mando comes back, the fact that she gets onto him about not knowing how to raise a kid properly, I think that goes into what you were saying about the more grandmother role that she plays, like the mom getting onto her her kid about not raising her grandchild correctly.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, that's not how you do that. That's not how
Yeah.
I raised you.
You know, and the Mandalorian doesn't really say anything about it, but I do think there was this moment like, oh yeah, I just left my kid in the car. Oops.
Yeah, exactly.
Glad someone saved it.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah.
But also I love too, just like, you know, Mando, he's that father who, you know, like his wife passed too soon, or his wife left him or something, and so he's left with kids to take care of. He's Danny Tanner from Full House. Like he's trying to learn what to do, but he doesn't know. Yep.
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 Okay, so the hunt for Finnick, I've got a couple things. I think it's the Mandalorian makes a line while they're talking about Finnick that says the New Republic has taken out all the people she works for. And I really like that because most of the lines about the New Republic we've talked about have been negative, right? Like the New Republic are jokes. Mm-hmm. They're not doing their job correctly. They're not protecting people or the Outer Rim. But this is an actual good line. Like, hey, they are doing something, right?
Yeah, it's a selective will.
Right.
They just
right.
Oh, and also, to be fair, that's all they can do. Is they can only pick the targets that they can pick. They can't just take care of everything yet. They don't have the money or the resources yet.
Yeah. And then just a couple small things is I really like that we get to see the Tusken Sign Language out here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like whenever he's bartering with them. Like, and he trades, I already forgot the guy's name, but what's his nuts?
Toro.
Right? Toro, yeah. His new binoculars that he got and he was bragging about. Mando just grabs them. He's like, here, take them. Don't kill us. Thanks.
Yeah. And then I really, like, the Mando's plan was really smart to use the speeders and the darkness and the, like, flash grenades, essentially, to throw off her aim while they're trying to get to her.
Yeah, the flares. And also, like, what I like, too, is just those were just flares. Like, those, honestly, I bet Lucasfilm or Disney probably just bought some boat flares, is what they look like.
Yeah.
They just look like regular emergency flares that you pop the top, and then it goes up, and it's a big bright light, and that's it. You know, I like that. Again, just Star Wars using practical effects to the full extent of the word.
So I really liked how this whole sequence went down with them getting to her, you know, the Mandalorian, you know, his speeder gets shot and Toro makes it to Finnick alone. And I'm not going to lie, I thought she was going to kill this kid.
Oh, I thought so too. I thought she was going to throttle him. Like there'd be no chance. Yeah.
And then let's see. They capture her and Mando goes off to find. Do you remember what that creature was called?
What, the dewback? The big lizard?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they were short a speeder.
Yep.
And I really like what Finnick does here because she essentially does the bounty hunter thing where she says, well, I have actually a better deal for you.
Yep. Why don't you forget about me and trade them in and you'll make more money. And then he's like, no, I wouldn't do that. Like, you're the target, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, well, but they're worth a lot more money. Here's, you know. And
not only the bounty on their heads, but also the armor in general. She brings up how much that's worth.
And then she's like, and you'd become a legend for hunting down the Mandalorian.
Then he kills her.
Or he thinks he does.
Or he thinks he does, yes.
Yeah, no metagaming, Elijah. Come on now.
I really liked that moment where she's like, she's holding her wrists out for him to take the cuffs off because she thinks she got him, and he just shoots her in the stomach. I was not expecting that.
Yeah, and it's also just such a, he has no idea what he's doing because he just started being a bounty hunter move.
Yeah.
To shoot her in the stomach and then not check twice, like not make sure that she's dead.
Right?
Like he just shoots her in like the general chest area and he's like, okay, yeah, you're good. And then he just steals the bike and leaves.
he heavily overestimated his own skills here.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely, but that's the whole point. That's why he fails pretty hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have anything else on this whole sequence?
No. I guess like real quick, the dewback. There's a dead bounty hunter next to the dewback
Yes.
who
Yeah.
obviously was trying to hunt down Fennec Shand and failed. And then also I like that Fennec Shand did that as bait. Like,
Yeah.
not only was she trying to conceal herself and run away, but also like, come and get me if you dare. And I like that. I like that a lot.
So he gets shot, and he makes a line. He has a line that the Beskar armor only held up because of the distance he was at. That a rifle that powerful would have shot through it.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was really interesting. You know, we're seeing the limits of Beskar. Like, it's maybe the best metal in the universe, but it's not completely invulnerable. Or, that's not the right word.
Oh, well, no, invulnerable would be the right word. Like that it's
Okay, yeah.
or invincible or
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the right
It
word.
has its limits. Yeah.
One thing I like though too is the quote unquote realism of that. Like that's actually how real body armor works. Also.
Yeah. Yeah, with the distance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like if you have something that's powerful than say like more powerful than say like level 3 body armor. If you're far enough away, it doesn't matter because the projectile's going too slow at that point. It won't penetrate.
And something else I'm curious about in terms of like Star Wars blasters, and I'm sorry, I know I keep getting us on a lot of tangents, is blunt force damage.
Yeah.
You know, because a lot of body armor, it might block the bullet, but the force of it can still kill you.
Mm-hmm. Well, and also like what I've heard a lot of people say is like it'll block the bullet, but you'll wish you were dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm curious how that affects with blaster fire, because clearly there has to be some force of momentum for it to like lessen over distance, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and then also there has to be some sort of okay, this is gonna get real nerdy, but
it's okay.
But the blasters are made out of light, right? So theoretically, they're going at the speed of light.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And so, like with the speed of light, it would cut through any sort of gravity or any sort of air resistance.
Oh,
so in theory, it would never stop accelerating until it hit the target. But on the other hand, they mention that it does slow down and there is gravity. Like they compare it to like what we would know as actual bullets is kind of like how the physics of Star Wars works.
Yeah.
But why doesn't it, I mean, it's light. It's a blaster bolt. Like, why doesn't it just keep going? I don't know.
Right? I don't know. We love Star Wars, but it's not always the best in terms of accuracy to physics.
Oh yeah, well, and that's why too. Like, there's so many like references to bullets and stuff like that that are real because that's what you can test in a lab and find the exact speed of and find exactly how it interacts with other materials. And so that's what they did.
Yeah.
Rather than because I mean you can't launch a blaster bolt at someone right now. But that's not something that anyone can do.
Oh, but I know so many people want to. I would not be surprised if by the time we die there's at least some sort of prototype blaster.
Yeah. Dude, honestly, what if on that note, if that happened, my theory, just my random theory, is that would make American shooting sports and also like world shooting sports probably a big thing again. Because there'd be so many nerds out there who'd be like, dude, I want to compete in Blaster Bullseye or whatever, you know?
Yeah, you were completely right. That would 100% bring it back.
You'd have like new Annie Oakleys out there. I love it.
Yeah. Well, so we've got our last scene with the Toro tries to capture Grogu, and they have their final showdown. What did you think of this scene?
I thought it was really smart because, like, in a lot of movies, they'll do bad guy has a hostage, and then good guy doesn't wait for bad guy to put down the hostage, and he just shoots the bad guy in the head or whatever.
Right.
And like this one thing I like, again, character development, is you can see that Mando genuinely cares about Grogu. Because he doesn't just shoot. He tries to stop it before he has to shoot.
Right.
And I like it. I like the pacing of it. I think it's exciting, and yeah, I don't know. What do you think? Oh, I also love how he doesn't he use a smoke bomb in there?
He uses the flares to blind him.
Oh,
that's what I was about to bring
flares,
up.
Yeah.
It was really smart because he puts his hand behind his back, and Toro tells Peli to go cuff him. And Peli sees him holding the flare, and she whispers, "You're smarter than you look."
Yep.
And so I really liked that scene because he sets it off, obviously giving him the chance to shoot Toro, which, like I said, Toro definitely bit off more than he could chew.
Yep. Yeah. Well, and that's also what he has done the whole time. He's just obviously a young guy who doesn't know what he's doing. He has not put in his 10,000 hours yet.
No. Now, he reminds me of the rookie that has a big head, that thinks he's better than the, veteran.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? He messed around and found out.
Yep, that's right. Fafo.
And I think last thing that I have for this episode is I really liked that he just reached in, grabbed all his money, and gave it to Peli.
Oh, grabbed all of Toro's money?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's just
like, here
killed
you go.
him and was just like, this is mine now. Which, I mean, to be fair, he was hired for a job.
Yeah.
He got paid for it.
Yep.
Anything else on this scene?
Mm-mm.
Okay. I'm sorry. I know I said that was the last thing I had on the episode, and then I remembered. We get one last shot with Finnick, and somebody comes to get her, and all we see is from this person's knees down. And I wanted to ask, we obviously know that it's Boba Fett now, but did you have any theories when you first watched it on who it might be?
No, honestly, Boba Fett was probably the furthest from my mind at that point, because
same.
He's not wearing Mandalorian armor at all.
Right, he's in his black robes that we see later.
Yeah, and so I almost thought maybe it's a Jedi of some kind. Or maybe it's I didn't know. Some sort of my thought was maybe some sort of Force user. Maybe.
Interesting.
And then if not, maybe it's Tuskens.
Yeah, I was thinking of bounty hunter of some kind, but same thing. Never would have crossed my mind that it was Boba.
Yeah, because at this point, I thought that Disney had decided to go with Boba was dead.
Yeah,
and that all the
too.
EU stuff that he had survived was no longer canon.
Yeah.
So before this, I was like, well, it can't be Boba. Boba's dead, according to the new canon. But those sneaky Mickey people.
Sneaky Mickey people. Which I really am excited to talk about Boba Fett. I won't get into it now, but I watched a video where they went over Boba Fett's character arc in chronological order, because we don't see it in chronological order in the new Mandoverse. And it completely changed my perspective on Boba Fett. So I'm really excited to talk about that when we get to his series.
Yeah, I am too.
Anyway, well, unless you have anything, that's all for today, my friends.
Nope, I don't. I will say it's been a good time this episode. I've had fun.
Same. Well, if you guys want to be a part of this conversation, you can email us at animalsquadron@gmail.com. Again, that's animalsquadron@gmail.com. We would love to talk to you guys. You can send us complaints. You can send in some questions. Or if you just want to talk about this episode, we definitely want to hear from you. Also, we'd really appreciate it if you could leave a review down below wherever you're listening, or if you are on Spotify, the question of the week will be about Mandalorian Chapter 5 and what you thought about it. Like I said, just we want you to be part of the conversation. Anyway, for the Animal Squadron, this has been Mother Goose.
And Lowtech Tech.
Goodbye, everybody.
Adios.